Arizona's family starts with breaking news.
The single greatest priority would be to identifying a motive and whether there was anyone else involved.
Right now in the news at 10 o'clock, we are following the breaking news out of Pennsylvania where shots were fired at former President Trump's rally. The FBI says they are investigating this as an assassination attempt.
You just heard from Pennsylvania state officials who are now trying to determine if the shooter acted alone and why they did it. That suspect now dead after being shot by Secret Service. Law enforcement says the shooter is a 20-year-old from Pennsylvania, but they are still working to confirm their identity. It's still a developing situation, but we know earlier this afternoon the former president was speaking to the crowd when several gunshots were fired, causing him to duck. Here's a look at that terrifying moment. You can clearly hear those shots rang out. You can see the former president touched his ear before ducking behind the podium, his security team immediately following. 3 other people, unfortunately, were shot at the rally. One of them is dead and 2 others are in critical condition.
Former President Trump responding to this tonight and posted on his Truth Social account in part, "I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for the rapid response on the shooting that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania." He also shared condolences to the person at the rally who was killed in this shooting. Now, we want to show you some new video into the newsroom tonight. You can see the former president just minutes ago getting off his plane. You see him walk down the stairs onto the tarmac on his own and wave. President Biden, meanwhile, addressing that shooting at the rally earlier today, the president condemning that violence.
But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate. And everybody must condemn it.
That is certainly the message from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle tonight. Now, we're also hearing from several witnesses. One man believes he saw the suspected shooter and told police about him, but that's when he says the shots were fired.
As Trump started, I noticed 2 officers that were looking for something or somebody. I was looking around myself and seeing a guy on top of one of the buildings go in between one building to the next, and went and told the officer that he was up there. And when I went back,
This man believes he saw the suspected shooter after he reported what he saw to police. Now, we are hearing from people back here in Arizona, so we do have team coverage for you tonight. Michaela Marshall was at a prayer rally earlier at the state capitol. And we also have Zach Preletsky, who has local reaction from lawmakers.
Yeah, well, Michael and Sarah, this was former President Trump's last scheduled rally before he was set to officially accept the Republican nomination for president next week in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Trump was holding this rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, about 45 minutes north of Pittsburgh, and talking about immigration and border crossings when those shots rang out. After the shots were fired, you can see Secret Service quickly surrounding the former president. Some people in the crowd appearing to duck for cover as well. Mayor John David Longo of Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, the city just north of Butler, says he had a front row seat to everything that unfolded. He said the victim who was shot and killed was just feet behind him.
Unfortunately, the individual who was killed was right behind us. And again, it was about 15, 20 feet behind us in the bleachers to the left of the stage. And I just feel awful for that individual to have come here with the expectation that he was going to be inspired by today's events and be inspired by President Trump, and only to not be allowed to go home to his friends and his loved ones.
Again, the suspected shooter in this incident is dead, along with a person who was just attending the rally. 2 other people, we're told, were critically injured. President Trump, or former President Trump, also appeared to be grazed by one of the bullets as well. This latest act of political violence drawing strong condemnation across the country, including here in Arizona, where Arizona politicians and lawmakers really condemning and denouncing today's assassination attempt. We want to share a few of those with you, including Governor Katie Hobbs saying saying in a tweet earlier this afternoon that political violence is unacceptable and has no place in this country. We're also hearing from some of the presumptive Senate candidates. Carrie Lake tweeting a picture of the former president with his fist in the air. You can see some blood on his ear. Lake saying they will never stop us. Her presumed opponent, Ruben Gallego, also tweeting that this was absolutely horrible. Political violence should never be tolerated, as well as several of our local Congress men and women tweeting support and well wishes to the former president, as well as condemning some of this violence. We also have our Michaela Marshall here in studio. Michaela, you heard from some people who gathered at the state capitol tonight to pray for the former president.
Yeah, a lot of those same messages coming out of this gathering as well. There were about 24 people at the state capitol tonight to pray for former President Donald Trump. They're calling for less division, saying something like this is a disgrace, regardless of political views. Some candidates running for office and other Arizonans came together for a few hours today after the former president's assassination attempt. We saw American flags, Trump hats, and MAGA gear at this event. I spoke with the people there to get their reaction to Trump being shot at. All shared this violence is a tragedy and called it un-American.
Whether it's President Trump, and I say this very clearly, President Trump, President Biden, President Obama, my mother, anybody, to suffer at the hands of any terrorist on any side in America is not accepted.
And this was a peaceful display at the state capitol during this historic time. They're hoping for a path forward that helps the nation heal from all of this hate. And everyone there tonight really just talking about how much our country needs to come together amid all of this division that we've been seeing in the last couple of years. And this was kind of the first step for them, standing hand in hand, praying, bowing together, hoping for peace.
I think at this point, people just felt something inside of them where they wanted to act on that. And for these people, it was coming together, it was praying, it was speaking to reporters about how they're feeling. I think there's so many emotions that go into this, no matter who you're going to vote for, what your allegiances are to a party. I think so many people just felt they needed to do something tonight.
Yeah, nobody should ever be scared to go support the person that they want to lead the country.
Yeah, and in this political climate, it's hard-pressed to find somebody agreeing on everything, but this one, pretty common sense to agree that this was un-American, this is unacceptable, violence of any kind, political violence shouldn't be tolerated, and I think the display we're seeing from across the country, across the world, you know, shows that that rings true tonight.
Yes, and if we have video of that incident earlier today, if we can go back to that, I mean, this is just terrifying. The reporters there said this is just minutes, really, after this whole event even got started, and that's what happens. I mean, there are kids there, there are families there, waking up in Pennsylvania or maybe nearby states, driving long distances to go to this rally, and this is what they're met with. I mean, we're hearing from these witnesses talking about, yeah, the guy behind me was shot. We were there to try and render aid. There was blood all over them. I mean, it's just horrible to hear that.
And there was so much chaos going on that we know kind of where some of these people who were shot, where they were sitting, and you can tell that the people nearby still don't know what exactly is going on, and that's really heartbreaking to watch unfold as well.
And I know the FBI in their press conference they had about an hour ago, I mean, this could have been a lot worse. Obviously, any loss of life, any violence like this, unacceptable, but there were thousands of people, I don't have an exact count, but I mean, looked like a lot of people there. A gunman from however far away, just opening fire at will. You know, it could have been a lot worse. So in that respect, I think a lot of people are thankful, but still, any loss of life, losing that one person who attended the rally with probably, you know, going, braving the heats, just there to see Donald Trump. For whatever reason, you know, no one should expect or have to even come to terms with the idea that that could be the place that they die.
I mean, it's kind of jarring, too. You know, you see the video of him ducking, but also him grabbing his ear, the blood. It's just something, you know, I haven't seen before. This is a new experience, I think, for all of us to this degree. It's been several years since something like this has happened at this scale. And I know that was kind of the feeling that a lot of these people at the state capitol had, too, of what do I do with this? I feel really strongly, and it's a scary feeling. How do I act? What can I do? How can I be part of any kind of change or prevention, you know, standing up for what I believe in, supporting whoever it is you support for president. So one of the people that I spoke with at this gathering was telling me that, you know, his first thought was, I need to go get a flag, and I need to go to the state capitol, and I need to be proud of where I live and proud to support President or former President Donald Trump.
Proud to be an American.
And I know there's been a lot of eyes talk in the political world looking ahead to the DNC, the Democratic National Convention, in August, with everything that's going on with President Joe Biden. The RNC, Republican National Convention, next week in Milwaukee. A lot of eyes, especially after this, will be on it. It'll be interesting to see how they handle security at the Pfizer Forum, how they deal with this. I mean, the president, you saw him get off the plane today, so I would assume he will show up in person. But
Oh, I'm sure he will.
But I think it'll be very interesting to watch, and I know Dennis Welch, our political editor, will be there, so it'll be a lot of coverage over the next week at the RNC for sure.
And like we said, this is an attempted assassination. The FBI is calling it an assassination investigation. And I mean, just looking at the video, you're inches away from this being an assassination, not attempted. So thankful the president, or the former president, is okay there. Of course, thoughts and prayers with those other people who were shot during that event today. And as Zach was just really talking about, this is all happening just a couple of days before the start of the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. The talk there was who is going to be the running mate for former President Trump. We've heard some rumors about Marco Rubio and some other governors and politicians. Who's it going to be? That was the talk, and of course that has certainly shifted here today. So our political editor, Dennis Welch, he's going to be live at the RNC with live reports beginning on Monday, and we're working to find out exactly what changes will be made ahead of that event. Dennis will certainly have the latest for us, again, starting on Monday.
And this is a developing story. We will be following it all night, as we have been, and we'll bring you the latest information as soon as we get it, both on our news app and on our website.